Welcome to this crash course on large language models, or LLMs as they're commonly known. There's a lot of information out there about AI, so I'm going to try to break it down as simply as possible. But by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what LLMs are, how to choose the right one, and the most practical ways to implement them in your business without needing any technical skills. So let's dive in. What exactly is an LLM? Let's start with the basics. A large language model is trained on massive amounts of text that can understand, generate, and transform human language. Think of an LLM as the brain of an AI system. Just like your brain recognizes patterns in customer behavior, these models identify patterns in language. They've essentially read every business book, email, and document ever written and learn how language actually works. The simplest way to understand it, it's like a hyper advanced version of autocomplete, but it can write entire documents, not just suggest the next word. So here's what's happening under the hood. When you type something into ChatGPT, you're sending a message to this AI brain. That's your input. The LLM processes that input based on the patterns it's learned and then generates an output, the response. So let me show you a quick example. When I asked ChatGPT to write a customer service email apologizing for a shipping delay, it can generate a professional response in seconds that would have, of course, taken me several minutes to craft. This is really powerful, but what makes LLMs truly game-changing is when we start connecting them to tools like other software. That's when they can actually take action for your business, not just have conversations with you. It's important to understand how LLMs differ from traditional software. So first off, traditional software follows explicit instructions and produces predictable outputs, very deterministic. While on the other hand, LLMs learn patterns, handle ambiguity, and can generate novel content. This distinction matters because it affects when you use each type of tool in your business. So now let's cover some core concepts that will help you understand how these systems work and how to use them effectively. First up are tokens and context windows. Tokens are the basic units LLMs use to process text. Words, parts of words, punctuation are all tokens. For example, the phrase small business owner might be broken down into 4 tokens: small, business, owner. This matters because most services charge based on token usage. The more text you input and the more text the AI generates, the more you'll pay. The context window, on the other hand, is how much information an LLM can remember during a conversation. Think of it as the AI's working memory. Different models have different size context windows, from around 16,000 tokens for basic models like ChatGPT 3.5 up to 1 million tokens for more advanced ChatGPT models and Gemini. For business applications, a larger context window means that the model can analyze entire documents rather than just snippets. It can even remember long conversations and provide more comprehensive responses. So, for example, with a large context window, you could upload an entire 100-page contract and ask questions about specific clauses. Next, let's talk about thinking and reasoning capabilities. So, chain of thought is how LLMs think step by step. More advanced models can break down complex tasks into smaller steps, similar to how humans do reasoning. This capability has evolved rapidly, with newer models reasoning much faster and much more accurately than their predecessors. Then there's temperature. This is a setting that controls how creative or predictable an LLM's response will be. So a low temperature, 0 to zero point 0.3, produces more focused, factual responses. This is great for customer service or technical documentation. On the other hand, higher temperatures generates more creative and varied responses, which is perfect for brainstorming or marketing copy. Next, we have retrieval and personalization. Retrieval and personalization are also important concepts. Retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, connects LLMs to your business data, allowing them to answer questions based on your specific information rather than just general knowledge. This dramatically improves accuracy for business-specific queries. Some models also offer personalization features. So, for instance, ChatGPT can remember your preferences and previous interactions across conversations, not just within your current chat. This is making it more efficient to use over time. Then you can even build custom assistants for specific business functions. Briefly, I should mention that there are advanced integration methods like APIs or application programming interfaces, which is basically the way that an LLM can connect with software tools. And this allows LLMs to directly interact with your business software. Then there's fine-tuning customizes models for specific tasks. And we'll cover all of these topics in depth in future videos. It's good to have a sense of these terms as you increase your LLM usage. Major LLM providers and their strength. So let's look at the major players in the LLM space today and what makes each one unique. So first you have OpenAI's ChatGPT family, GPT-4o, which is their premium model and most advanced one with reasoning. There's a couple other models that they have for coding, reasoning, and thinking capabilities. ChatGPT really stands out for its voice interface, which lets you have spoken conversations with it, like when you're in the car, and it actually responds with voice as well. It also has strong coding assistance and the ability to create custom GPTs that are tailored for very specific tasks. It's ideal for general business use, content creation, and programming tasks. GPT-4o offers an impressive 128,000 token context window, which is even getting larger, up to 1 million, competing with Google's Gemini, also a 1 million context window. Then we have Anthropics Claude, which comes in several versions. So it has Haiku, which is for speed, Sonnet for balance, and Opus for maximum capability. Claude stands out for its very clear instructions, thoughtful analysis, and nuanced responses. It has a 200,000 context window, which also makes it really great to include a lot of different types of documents. They also have a great way to keep conversations organized with projects so that you can both keep information private as well as have great context across chats within an organized folder. ChatGPT also has a similar feature to Claude in that respect for organizing your project folders. Then you have Google's Gemini. It stands out because it first has a free tier with a large context window of 1 million tokens. So enjoy being able to upload many different documents all at once, and it can handle it. The other key feature is its strong visual analysis. So it's excellent at understanding and describing images and even can watch you as you're actually working. But this is in a separate space called Google Studio. It allows you to help interact as you're actually browsing the web and can talk to it both via voice and text, and it can even see your screen, which is pretty neat. Of course, it also has deep integrations with Google's ecosystem, and it's ideal for visual data processing, search-related tasks, of course. Next, we have Meta AI, which is completely free and offers solid capabilities across the board, even image to animation, which is pretty cool. It excels at creative content generation and conversational abilities similar to ChatGPT and Grok, making it a good choice for social media content and casual interactions. Meta AI also features voice interface capabilities, allowing for spoken interactions similar to ChatGPT and Grok. X's Grok has real-time information access, and I only suspect that its integration with X is only going to get better over time. And it tends towards conversational and sometimes humorous responses. It has quite the personality if you let it. And it offers a voice interface, and it's particularly good at questions for research, trending topics, and real-time information. And besides the commercial options, there are also open source models. So open source in the LLM context means that the model weights, essentially the AI's knowledge, are publicly available to see. This allows for complete privacy, which sort of sounds counterintuitive, but it allows you to run these models locally. So it's like on your computer or in a private server or in the private cloud. But that requires a little bit more technical capability, but can be highly customized for specific business needs. Popular open source models include Llama 3 for Meta. Then you may have heard about some news recently with DeepSeek, which is also available as an open source model, and made a ton of waves, achieving commercial level performance with significantly fewer parameters, which demonstrated that smaller models can actually still be highly effective. While implementing these yourself requires technical expertise, services like Replicate provide hosted access, and tools like Hugging Face make local deployment and experimentation more accessible. There are also aggregator platforms that let you access multiple models through a simple interface. So Perplexity offers a search-focused experience, which is great for shopping and a lot of research and finding the latest information across image, text, and even video, and has access to multiple models. You could also use other alternatives like Poe from Quora, which lets you easily switch between different LLMs. These platforms are great for experimenting to find which model works best for you before you decide to invest. 5. Modality. Text is the foundation of most LLMs. Many now support additional modalities. So voice interfaces are available with ChatGPT, Meta AI, and Grok, and with certain scenarios of Gemini, like in its Google Studio. This allows you for spoken conversations with AI. You can dictate messages, get information, or brainstorm with ideas while driving or walking between meetings. Then there's vision capabilities that let LLMs understand and analyze images. Gemini is particularly strong in this area. Business applications include analyzing charts and graphs, interpreting diagrams, or assessing product images. Briefly, multimodal input and output is about combining text, image, and voice in your interactions with the LLMs. For example, you might upload a product photo and ask it for marketing copy based on the image. We'll cover more advanced multimodal workflows in future videos. But there are also related technologies worth mentioning. There's text-to-image systems like DALL-E and Midjourney, which can generate custom visuals based on text descriptions. There's text-to-video tools like Sora through OpenAI, and Runway, which is a separate company, and which can create short video clips from written prompts. Meta also offers interesting image-to-animation capabilities that recently launched, allowing static images to be transformed into short animated sequences, which could be useful for creating engaging social media content, of course. It's important to note that these images and video generation tools have varying levels of copyright protection and content policies. So you might try to say, I want an image of Spider-Man doing something, and they probably won't let you because it's going to be restricted by their policies. So how to choose the right LLM? With so many options, how do you choose the right LLM for your business? Let's break down the key selection criteria. First, consider your budget. Free tiers are great for experimentation, but come with limitations like smaller windows, older model versions, and usage caps. Paid tiers offer more advanced capabilities, larger context windows, and higher usage limits. Pricing models vary greatly, and some charge monthly subscriptions like ChatGPT Plus at $20 a month, while others use pay-as-you-go based on token usage. Then, of course, there's enterprise options typically for custom pricing based on volume and feature needs. Next, evaluate your feature requirements. Make a list of the must-have versus the nice-to-have based on your business. So do you need document handling, image code generation? Match up these requirements to the strengths of the different models we discussed. Your implementation approach matters too, of course. I recommend starting with free tiers to experiment before committing to any paid options. Test each model on your specific use cases and implement them gradually. Start with simple applications before moving to more complex ones. One challenge in this rapidly evolving field is managing change. The speed of feature parity between models is incredible. Capabilities that are unique to one model today can be very common across all of them in 6 months. This creates a little bit of a risk and becoming dependent on specific provider, only to find out a better option later. But to stay flexible, focus on learning the general principles of working with LLMs rather than a specific feature of any one platform. Develop processes that can transfer between systems in case you need to swap out a model for a new, better one. And be prepared to pivot as technology evolves. As you're deciding which model to use, we'll have a separate video on how to go from single-player mode to actually implementing this into multiplayer mode within your organization. But for now, just get started experimenting on your own to understand what's possible. Another key concern is security and privacy. Before implementing LLMs and start uploading all your financials into the chat windows, you need to understand the security and privacy implications. Different providers have different data protection policies. OpenAI allows business users to opt out of having their data used for training, but consumer data may be used. So you have to choose the right tier and know what you're adding in. Anthropic offers clear data usage policies with enterprise options for complete privacy. Then you have open source models that run locally and can provide maximum data protection. And then Google Gemini offers varying level of protection depending upon your subscription tier. What information is safe to share with LLMs? As a general rule, be cautious with sensitive business data. Types of information you should never include are customer personally identifiable information, PII, financial credentials, trade secrets, and internal strategic documents, unless you're using enterprise tiers with the appropriate safeguards. So treat these systems like public spaces rather than confidential communication channels. And unless you're using enterprise options with specific privacy guarantees, you have to be cautious. Now that we understand the technology, let's explore practical applications that deliver real business value, what you actually are curious about. So for content creation and marketing, LLMs excel at generating blog posts, social media content, email campaigns, product description, and marketing copy. And the list, of course, goes on. They can also personalize content at scale, creating variations tailored to different audience segments. In customer service, LLMs can draft personalized email responses, analyze customer sentiment, automate FAQs, create knowledge bases, and summarize customer conversations to identify common issues. We have a ton of videos about how people are actually using this within their businesses so that you can get a real understanding of other business leaders and their use cases. For business analysis, they're powerful tools for market research, competitive analysis, data summarization, insight generation, and interpreting financial data, which of course, still be cautious of. They can process large volumes of information and extract key patterns that might take humans hours to identify. Administrative efficiency is another huge benefit, of course. LLMs can summarize meeting notes, manage email overload, and create process documentation, things we hate or probably don't do that much. They're excellent at transforming rough notes into structured professional documents, so no missed meeting points that people forgot about. But perhaps the most exciting are emerging agentic capabilities. So these are LLMs that can actually take actions, not just generate text. So through tools and plugins and APIs, they can search the web, retrieve information from databases or your personal databases, schedule appointments, or trigger workflows. So imagine an LLM that not only drafts your marketing email, but actually schedules it and sends it out. Of course, whatever you put into an LLM, it's what you get out. So there are effective prompting fundamentals that you need to learn. So getting good results from LLMs depends largely on how you communicate with them, just like how effective you communicate with an employee. So let's cover the basics of effective prompting. We'll have a deep dive into specifics on good prompting techniques since there are many and they are evolving. And this can really make or break your output. A good prompt structure includes several elements. First, assign a role. So tell the LLM what kind of expert it should be, like act as an experienced marketing copywriter. Then provide necessary context about your business situation. Next, specify the exact task you want completed, clarify the desired output format, and set quality criteria. For example, a basic prompt might be, write me a marketing email, but an effective prompt would be, act as an experienced email marketer for a fitness business. Create a promotional email for our new yoga class. The email should be friendly but professional. Include a clear call to action and be no more than 200 words. Our target audience is busy professionals aged 30 to 45. Common prompting mistakes include being too vague, providing insufficient context, or not specifying the desired output. The key is to be specific and clear about what you want. We'll have a dedicated video on enhanced prompting techniques, but these fundamentals will help you get started effectively. While LLMs are powerful, understanding their limitations is crucial for responsible business use. Knowledge limitations are significant. So LLMs have training cutoff dates beyond which they don't have direct knowledge of events, except for certain real-time ones and when you ask it to actually search the web for certain information. But be aware of which ones do and constantly be checking for when those cutoff dates are. They may not be aware of recent industry developments or changes in regulations. They also have gaps in domain-specific knowledge, so particularly for niche industries or things that are not readily available on the web. To address these limitations, provide necessary context in your prompts, update the LLM with current information, and even provide supplemental documents that might help. And verify critical information from authoritative sources. One big thing you need to understand and double check the work, especially when regulation is involved, compliance, or high levels of accuracy, is hallucinations. When LLMs generate plausible sounding but incorrect information, there are perhaps the biggest concern. They can cite non-existent sources, create fake statistics, and even blend facts with fiction. And even the best models are only at about 90% level of accuracy, so 10% can have a huge impact. So for business use, implement verification steps for critical outputs, especially for customer-facing content or important decisions. Reasoning limitations also exist. While LLMs are improving rapidly, they still struggle with complex decision-making, ethical judgments, and nuanced situations. Human oversight remains essential for these scenarios, so never rely on an LLM for critical business decisions without human verification. Humans still matter. So getting started. Let's talk about now how to actually implement LLMs in your business. A few things to consider. Begin with clear business objectives, of course. What specific problems are you trying to solve? What metrics will indicate success? Starting with the end in mind ensures your LLM implementation delivers real value. Focus on high impact, low risk applications first. Content creation, meeting summarization, and email drafting are great starting points because they deliver immediate value without major risks, and you can include a human in the loop. A typical implementation roadmap includes 4 phases. First, experimentation, try different models on simple use cases to understand capabilities. Next, pilot implementation, deploy 1 or 2 applications in a limited environment. Then, team training, ensure everyone understands how to use the technology effectively. Finally, scaling. Expand successful applications across the organization. Measure success by tracking both quantitative metrics, like time saved or content produced, and qualitative factors like quality improved or new capabilities. Compare before and after implementation to quantify the impact. We'll have a dedicated video on calculating ROI for LLM implementations so you can make sure you're getting the most bang for your buck. So we've covered a lot of ground in this crash course, but there's still so much to learn. So from understanding what LLMs are and how they work to evaluating different providers, considering security implications, and implementing practical applications. The key takeaway is that LLMs represent a transformative technology for businesses of every size. They can dramatically improve efficiency, enhance creativity, and enable new capabilities where they were previously inaccessible without specialized or expensive expertise. In upcoming videos, we'll dive deeper into specific topics, including advanced prompting techniques, API integration, custom development, fine-tuning, model customization, multimodal workflows, ROI calculation, industry-specific applications, and tool integration. But the best way to get started is by experimenting with free tiers of different LLMs. Try applying these simple business tasks and see which one works best for your specific needs. Don't worry about getting everything perfect right away, and ask the LLM questions if you're not sure what to do. This technology is evolving rapidly, and the key is just to start learning and adapting. If you found this video helpful, please provide us feedback in the comments. Let me know what might be of interest for us to cover next, and check out additional resources and assessments that we've provided and links below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.